What's going on, Bulls Nation? Peck here, CHGO Bulls. We got a live CHGO Bulls postgame coming up for y'all, breaking down the Bulls' 108-100 loss to the 76ers. In just his fifth game of the season, Embiid recovers from a bad first quarter and bounces back to the tune of 31 points. Zach LaVine poured it in also, but it wasn't enough. We'll break it down next. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into CHGO Bulls postgame, coming to you live from our headquarters here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. That's Big Dave. Bam! BAWL Sports. And four-time champ, Uncle Will Perdue, Will_Perdue 32. On the controls, the one and only Queen Katie Devi. Bulls lose to the Sixers 108-100, falling to 10-15 on the year. Sixers improving to 7-15 with that win. They have maybe finally started to scrape together a few wins here, trying to recover from their awful start. And today's headline, I think, begins and ends with Joel Embiid, Big Dave. He, I think he was 0 of 6 from the field in the first quarter, went scoreless, 0 for 7, yikes. And then the second quarter was the Joel Embiid show. Yeah. He scored 19 of the Sixers' 39 points in a quarter they won by 22.
You know, and in his first game back, playing 32 minutes, I think that was the biggest thing to make sure his knee, would be okay. I'm sure he's going to get some more rest throughout the season. I don't think that's the end. But it's not just the fact that he was out there, but as you said, he played very, very well. After a slow start, as soon as he got to that second quarter, things changed. The jump shot started falling. I actually saw him go to the rim more. That's why I knew the knee was feeling better. He wasn't doing all the usual flopping. Of course, he tossed some in there for sure, but he didn't do all the usual flopping. You saw a lot of the skill of what makes him one of the best big men in the game. I mean, 31 and 12 and 4 is disgusting. Like, that is nasty as your center. 13 of 28 from the shots. He took 5 threes. He didn't hit one of them. Yeah. So that's what's more impressive to me is he hit 5 free throws. So all his points basically came from skill. I am skilled to do this. The mid-range shot, you saw it. The putting the ball on the floor and getting to the rim, you saw it. The way that he can back you down and hit you with any kind of move. You saw it. So it was so many different ways that he attacked the Bulls' front court, Will. And it didn't matter who was out there guarding him. Once a guy that skilled and that good gets going, it's kind of hard to stop.
Listen, there's 2 guys in this league, maybe 3, that when they get going are impossible to guard.
Matt Peck.
Can't stop.
Can't stop this. That's why his nickname is MC. Giannis, Embiid, Steph Curry. And I'm sure I'm missing somebody. But, last year was the first time ever that Embiid actually lost to the Bulls.
Yes.
That's right. It's his career. Yeah.
So I think that's one time. So that tells you how well that he plays against the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
And listen, we can talk about this, being a nightmare matchup for Vooch, but this is a nightmare matchup for anybody.
Yeah.
Period. And to me, this so much wasn't about Embiid. It was an impressive breakout game. But to me, this game was about discipline. And take the second quarter, they had 17?
Season low point total for a quarter.
And then take that literally probably wasn't like at the start of the fourth, but there was that 6-minute stretch where the Sixers were reeling. Turnovers, missed shots. But I asked you guys, do the Bulls realize that they can actually attack the basket? They're allowed to go inside the three-point line. Yeah. And I just thought their shot selection was poor. And to me, that's a discipline thing.
Yeah.
Because let's go back to Friday's game.
Okay.
What did we talk about in the postgame about how they got beat? One team settled for threes. Another team was aggressive and continued to attack the basket.
Yeah.
And to me, listen, I want to credit the Bulls for, after that second quarter being down 19, they could have just mailed it in because they're supposed to lose.
Mm-hmm.
But they fought back and put themselves in a position to have an opportunity to try to take the lead and give themselves a true chance to win.
Yeah.
So that says a lot about their mentality and their fight. But this is where we talk about this team needs to grow some more in the sense of, understanding the aspects of the game.
Yeah.
As a whole. I understand the game has changed and teams dominate you from the three-point line. But at the same time, if the three's not dropping, 35% is nice.
Yeah.
But you only get 12 attempts from the free throw line and you get outscored by 23 in the paint. So it's the ability to adapt and identify, what's working and what's not.
And the shot selection thing, you mentioned it being a tough matchup for Vooch and a tough matchup for anybody as far as trying to contain Embiid. Also, on the other end, like Vooch only took 7 shots today. 7 shots for, your big man who has been dominant.
And how is that possible?
I'm thinking we'll talk to Goat about that. I'm sure Billy and or Vooch had something to say about him only taking 7 shots in this game. But the one, and you had that comment about did they know they're allowed to go inside somewhere early in the fourth quarter, Purdue, but even earlier than that, I think it was maybe second quarter. When that giddy fast break happened. And he had Ayo and Coby running with him, remember? And Ayo runs and takes his defender to the right corner, like, okay, great, get out of the way. But then instead of just breaking down the left side through the lane for an easy layup, Coby starts slowing down and flaring out to that left corner three. And Giddey throws that turnover. And as you see the ball leaving Giddey's hands and he realizes where Coby is versus where he thought he was going to be, that's just one of those like, hey, sometimes you can still just take the easy two.
Yeah, you unfortunately see the Bulls do that a lot. For a team that likes to run fast, I don't really like their fast break offense. But I like it more when it's guys like when I know Ayo's going to be out there on the break. When like you mentioned, Ayo doing the right thing out there. When Modest is out there on the break, and sometimes even Zach. And when Giddey's running it, because Giddey is pass first. And when you're a pass first guy like that, Will, you immediately are looking to your wing. Like when you're on the fast break, like, okay, somebody on the wing with me is running, right? No? They turn around, and that could be detrimental to a point guard and what he's trying to do. And we saw it in another play where Josh Giddey gets it on a fast break, and Embiid is behind him, and he kind of slowed down a little bit because he thought that, well, maybe I could get there a little faster. I don't think Embiid could block me. Instead of just going to try to finish in the layup, he ended up trying to pass the ball into the corner, and that ended up in the turnover. So their fast break offense hasn't been great for a team that likes to play with pace and likes to run a lot.
Well, and I think it's just, it's an adjustment from a mentality standpoint to realize that it's okay to just take in and take the wide open shot.
Yeah.
If a team's going to give you a layup, take it.
Yeah.
Because then
it's 2 points.
And then you sit there and you be like, oh, the other team shot 48% from three, but you still beat them because you shot 62%. Because they just kept giving you layups because they didn't want you to take threes. Right. And, hey, we'll take the win and we'll go. But that's just kind of how the game has changed.
Sure.
But that's where, listen, I keep talking about Coby taking the next step, right?
Yeah.
And Lonzo's out there, and he struggled offensively, 1 of 7 from the field. But that's where you have the leader of the team is talking to guys, being like, guys, just attack the rim. Take the layup. We're okay. Look at the score. We're fine. We're down 2. We're up 5, whatever it may be. Okay? But it's just they constantly kept making that, and I'll call it a mistake for the time being. And when they weren't hitting the shots, and Philly was, that's all of a sudden where you saw that 39-17 quarter.
Yeah. And you saw that three-point shooting work for the Bulls well in that first quarter when they got off to that pretty good start, being up by 10. And then completely flips in that second quarter going down by 12 because we saw those shots starting to not fall and not go in for them. I asked Will, I'm going to probably ask Will this again, the question I asked him after the game against Indiana. Do you think that the Bulls have kind of hit that peak and then everything's going to kind of start going down now and evening out? From what I saw today was more of what I saw in that last game. And everything kind of fell and kind of evened out, for the Bulls. And I don't mean that positively when I say that. So they have some work to do for sure, Will. If you look at the numbers just alone, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in double figures. Giddey with an almost triple-double again with 9 points, 11 assists, and 7 rebounds, 2 steals. If I'm just looking at these numbers, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, 108, 100, they were in it. And it never felt like that when you were watching the game. It was like once Philly took that lead, it felt like they weren't giving it back. The closest the Bulls got was 4. Then they would take it right back up to 9. So you saw the difference in a team that has that kind of leadership that you talked about, Will, and a team that's still working on getting that kind of leadership. Because when that went down to 4, immediate timeout. Hey, what are we doing? Get the ball to our stars and let's go. And shout out, again, Tyrese Maxey with his first ever triple-double out here as well.
25-point triple-double.
Out, 25, 11, and 14.
Yeah.
Like, that dude balled clean out. And part of me wants to believe he's taking it personally because he went against Coby White, who was the runner-up for most improved player. So, yeah, man, like, you just saw a team where Bulls play better and more fun and things like that, but you saw a team that's more advanced mentally, I think, than the Chicago Bulls are just right now at this point.
And 2 stars that performed like stars will. Giddey, Embiid have, obviously, with his 31 coming out party, and Maxey. Zach managed 30 points. Took a lot of turnovers to do it, but he did have 30 points. But the next highest scorer, you just said 6 in double figures, Dave. But the next highest was Vooch and Coby, who each had 13.
Exactly.
So, like,
the low double figures.
Yes, double figures, but low double figures. And speaking of 13 from Coby, you mentioned him a second ago, Will. I want more of your thoughts on what we've seen from Coby today and in this recent stretch when the Bulls offensively have been, for the most part, humming. They jacked up a lot of threes today and weren't super efficient on them. They lost the second chance points battle by a lot. But Coby, 5 of 17. He was not part of the Bulls' turnover problem today, but 5 of 17, 3 of 11 from downtown, just can't seem to find his groove.
I think his ankle's still bothering him.
Think so?
I mean, because the one thing I will never question about Coby is his effort. Okay? And let me go back and answer something. Our boy Frenchie, before he goes to work, said, weird how when we don't shoot 50+%, our defense flows are even more glowing.
Flaws, yeah.
That's what I thought. It was like, wait a minute. Come on, Frenchie. I know you're going to work. Late night last night? Oui. But he's exactly right. We've talked about this not just this year or last year. It's other years. The mindset to me is flipped. When you're struggling on the offensive end, your intensity and your focus has to be even sharper on the defense. And it seems to be that this team allows their struggles on the offense to affect the defense. And that's got to change as well. But that, to me, is also leadership, okay? But back to the Coby White question, I'll never question his effort, his work ethic. When I see things like this back-to-back, first of all, on Friday, I'm going to say, okay, he hasn't played in a while. He doesn't have a lot of rhythm. I get it. But this is the game, usually that second game, where he's at a day off in between, where he can get into the gym and get up a lot of shots, where you see Coby come back with rhythm, knocking down shots. He didn't do it. 5 of 17, 3 of 11 from behind the arc. To me, that signals he's still injured. He's not getting that lift on that shot. And you don't also see that lateral movement, that craftiness per se. Yeah. He's more of just a straight line guy right now until that ankle gets better. And this is a situation where, to me now, this is why Friday's game, considering what we've seen the last 2 games, okay, this is why Friday's game looms large to me. And it's not about winning or losing.
Right, how they play.
But it's now this upcoming week. Not trying to get ahead of the discussion, but they'll have Monday off, practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, with a game on Friday. Right. This will be the first time in a long time that they've actually been able to get out on the floor as a team and probably run up and down and get a good sweat. And not just do a lot of walkthroughs, get shots up, and then the guys that don't play 2-on-2, 3-on-3. This will probably be the first time that they can actually go and stop. And if you'll notice at the Bulls practice facility, they got those TVs on the side where they can film practice, stop it immediately, run it back, and then basically draw over top of it and talk about what needs to be done. So I'm really anxious to see this Charlotte game, to see how things improve defensively and offensively. How does shot selection improve? There's a lot of things that need to change between now and Friday.
I got a question for you. Hold on. After this break, I got a question for you because I want you to kind of.
Let me finish up exactly. But at the same time, that's where I understand. Today was a good loss, technically from a draft standpoint, right? Because you were getting beat up, you got off the mat, you came back, you competed, gave yourself a true opportunity, to compete, to possibly win, but then you ended up losing. But it's just there are certain standards that we still have to meet that, in my opinion, aren't being met, or that will carry over to when this team gets better.
Well, we'll see what they do with this big break before that game on Friday. We got to take our first break here on CHGO Bulls postgame. Stick around, hit the like button while we share some ads, and we will continue breaking down this loss. We'll also hear from Will Gottlieb later on from the Bulls locker room. Today's show brought to you by Public Rec. Whether you need new clothes for the work week or formal outings on the weekend, Public Rec's Game Changer pants will be your new go-to. They're the most comfortable dress pants and last pair you'll need for the office or public outings. They're a local company founded right here in Chicago, just down the street, here in the West Loop. Public Rec truly captures the feeling of evenings in the city. Public Rec not only has the most comfortable pants ever made in many different styles, but they also have a huge selection of high-quality, everyday basics. You can revamp your entire wardrobe with their perfect-fitting polos, shorts, and hoodies. You saw me and Goat rocking some of their merch earlier on in shows on Monday and Tuesday this week, just looking clean. Effortlessly clean. Fashionable. Professional. They also come in waist and length sizing for the perfect fit, so whatever your size is, be it 32 by 32, 40 by 30, they have pants that are essentially custom fitted for you without any tailoring needed.
They have 3840?
They probably, you know what? Yeah, that's a good one to find out. Yeah. 38, is that your size?
That is correct.
38.
But you know,
that's a wild size.
I take the tag that's a 32 and I write down 31.
I don't want to be a
32. And I thought my 34 by 34 was a ridiculous size. Stop suffering in regular pants and give the gift of comfort this holiday season. For a limited time only, CHGO Bulls listeners get 20% off when you use promo code CHGO at checkout. That's 20% off promo code CHGO at publicrec.com. After your purchase, they'll ask you, where did you hear about them? Please support CHGO Bulls and tell them that we sent you to Public Rec. Give yourself or someone you love the gift of comfort this holiday. PublicRec.com.
If you go in and say Peck sent you, you get 25% off.
Oh,
let's not make any false promises, Will.
Yeah. I'd say just try it and see what happens.
Peck sent you full price.
Full price. That bastard.
Double the price, actually.
We're going to have to ask you to leave.
That's right. Warm glass and shut the hell up.
We have the right to refuse service to anyone.
Oh, beer. It's a thing.
Necessary.
People have it, especially on Sundays when they're watching football or a Bulls game. They want to embrace chill. Because between work, social media, and the choices life throws our way, no wonder we're more worked up. Of course, like celebrates rising above and choosing that chill mindset. Why not turn that rained out barbecue into the Will Gottlieb and Will Perdue 18th annual karaoke house party Christmas edition, all Christmas songs only.
I think we need to maybe change that and do that during the takeover.
Okay. Will's going to do karaoke.
Carols in the suite.
All right. Sounds good to me.
No, the thespian on the other end is going to be doing Camelot.
Forsooth. Or after a tough loss, settle scores with the ice cold peace offering. Make the choice to choose chill, then reach for a frosty cold Coors Light. It is Mountain Cold Refreshment because the mountains turn blue. Oh, yes! You know what to do. It's cold lager, cold filter, and a cold package for a smoother finish. So when you embrace the chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a frosty cold Coors Light, that Mountain Cold Refreshment that is crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies.
Come back here, you coward.
most ideal times to choose chill. Choose Coors Light. Coors Light delivered straight to your door via Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Basketball. That's CoorsLight.com/CHGO Basketball. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden,
Colorado.
Hey.
I don't have my sound effects in here. It's really sad.
Oh, no.
We got it.
I was just looking for the beer can. I don't have it.
Oh.
This is what we do when we get thrown to Studio B because CHGO Bears is doing pregame. It's okay.
Can I address something here real
Sure.
quick? Just to, AK said Dalen Terry only played 4 minutes, Julian with 3. I noticed that as well.
Dalen left with an injury.
Yeah.
Yes.
Julian left with a mistake.
But also, you're right. Dalen left with an injury, but that also is a situation where Billy's got to make a decision. And when you get down a lot of times, those with minimal offensive skills will not get back in the game.
Yeah, and they had at some point a 17-point deficit to try and climb out of. So
Okay, did I hit a jingle?
Yeah, I think we should ask the GOAT about this, yeah?
I think we should.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's bring the other Will in.
I'll hold my question till then, Will.
Will
You
in
have-
have
Bam,
a
Take a
go
bam,
time.
take a
Guys,
bam,
the
wham,
jingle
wham,
is
wham,
gone.
wham,
Let the
wham,
game do it.
The
wham,
jingle
wham,
is not even here.
wham.
All right, Will Gottlieb, you're coming. There he is.
Joining us on that Go Talk Hotline, Will the Go Gottlieb from the UC. Follow him for his Bulls reporting, Will_Gottlieb. Read his stuff, allchgo.com.
Ooh, that quality's on point.
Go. We've spent the better part of the first post-game minutes talking Bulls shot selection tonight. Obviously, another game where they get up a bunch of threes, 50-plus for the second straight game. Only hit him at about a 35% clip. There were some turnover issues. Also, just 7 shots for Vooch, who has been obviously like this team's offensive juggernaut so far this season. Curious what Billy Donovan had to say about the team's shot selection if that came up after tonight's loss.
Yeah, I think the shot selection was not really that big of a problem. I mean, this team is trying to get up a ton of threes. They are doing that, 54 threes. I mean, that's would have been a franchise record, I think, if they hadn't already set one this year. So I think those are not the wrong shots. I think it's really like the fact that they're losing the field goal attempt battle. That's something that Billy has brought up a couple of times. 86 field goal attempts for the Bulls, 92 for the Sixers, and they were even in turnovers, both with 15. So, like, where is this gap coming from, and how do they help address that? Because, I mean, this is a game that, yeah, the score was 8 points, but, like, it felt like they could have gotten there with, like, one more basket in those final couple of minutes, and, like, those margins really end up mattering. And so, obviously, like, you make another 3 or 2, and this is maybe a different game, but also, like, if you protect against turnovers or you get yourself a couple of easier shots throughout the game. And I think that's where the Vooch question comes in, which is the same thing that happened after last game. I feel like they kind of lost track of him a little bit and didn't really get him his spots. Billy made note after the game that they need to do a better job just like making entry passes. But I think that it's easy to kind of forget that Vooch can be a threat on the block when you're trying to run so fast and you're trying to move through your reads so quickly, get up and down, attack the paint, get it in, spray it out, and then take that shot. Like, there's not really a lot of room for a post up in there. And so you have to be timely with it. But when they are available, you have to make sure to find him. And I think they just really have not done that very well the last couple of games. And it's not because Vooch isn't playing well or he's like missing his shots. I mean, I think he was 3 of 5 last game on threes, 1 of 2 tonight. But like, you just got to get him more looks. You got to play through him a little bit more. And, the 76ers were switching him and putting him up a little bit higher. And so I think that kind of took him out of his game a little bit. But I think when they're at their best, they're playing through Vooch, or at least, in secondary actions where he's in those trail 3 spots and he's either attacking the basket, getting downhill, or just shooting. And it just felt like they really haven't gotten to that much over the last couple of games here.
Well, I mean, the Bulls shot 40% from the field, 35% from 3. I asked you last game if you felt like the Bulls were kind of coming down off of cloud 9 and kind of evening out on their offense. And so seeing what they did today as far as their offensive production, did that sway your opinion on that? Or are you still feeling like, no, this team is still top of the league, leading the league in three-pointers made, like top 10 in pretty much everything offensively? And it'll kind of stay there.
I mean, I think they are a very good offensive team. They're top 10 this year. Over the last 8 games, at least prior to this one, they were the number 1 offense in the league. I think they're a very good offense. I'm not sure that they will continue to shoot. They were over 50% from the field in 7 straight games. They were leading the league in true shooting and effective field goal. Like, that stuff's probably, even if it doesn't sustain, like, I think they're going to be high up there, top 10 for sure. But when you're excelling at such a high level, like, any slippage back down to just normal is going to bump those numbers way down. And I think you're seeing some of that. But they scored 30 more points from 3 than the Sixers did tonight. Like, that's a recipe that I think they would take every day of the week. And it's something that we talked about the last couple of years being on the other side of it, which is that, like, they need to get themselves into the math battle. And this year they're like really excelling at that. So, they shot 35% from 3 on 54 attempts. Like that, I think that's a good game for them. It's more about the other stuff and like the defense that can really be problematic when you're not, containing Embiid and he's going for, 19 points in a quarter. Like that's going to happen because he's Joel Embiid and he's a great player, but you have to get yourself back in that game somehow. I was actually impressed with the fact that the Bulls were able to do that and get themselves back in there where it felt like you go down 19 and that could have just been the end of it. So to me, I don't think this was like a bad offensive game. I think it was just, some things on the margins, some execution, and then defense that can put them over the top.
I made a statement because we've seen Coby the last 2 games. He still doesn't look 100% to me. Has there been any comment on his situation?
No comment from him or Billy about Coby's play, but I've noticed that too. And 13 points on 17 shots tonight, no free throw attempts. Like it just doesn't really feel like he's getting that consistent production, or at least doing the parts of his offensive game that keep the floor really high. And so last year, I think what he did a really good job of was like getting to the free throw line, generating points on attacking closeouts. And he's doing some of that, but it just doesn't feel like that same floor is there this year for whatever reason. Obviously, he had the ankle sprain and that cost him a couple of games here. I was thinking maybe that had something to do with it, but he's been back the last couple of games, and I'm sure he would be the first to like say that that's not an excuse. So we know Coby, he's been here for many years now, and he's always had some portions of the season where he gets super hot and some where he's just not quite there in terms of his shooting. And so I think we're maybe just in a little bit of a lull here. And it's been like a handful of games. It's not like it's been, 25 games here to start the season. So I'm not too worried about it, but I do think that this is a bit of an adjustment for him. I mean, you bring in Giddey, you get Lonzo back, you get Zach back, you're playing more through Vooch. Io's got the ball a lot. And in fact, they're taking the ball out of Giddey's hands a lot of times to put it into Io's hands because he's pushing the tempo so well. It's like there isn't as much usage and available like shot creation for Coby. And I think he's a rhythm player, and he kind of needs to have the ball in his hands to get hot. He's obviously really talented catch and shoot, and I think he can do that better than most guys on this team, which is why they're asking him to play that role. But I also get the sense just watching him that, he kind of does need the ball in his hands to get that rhythm going, and maybe that can help him a little bit.
Hey, Goat, I'm curious. We were talking about this as we were coming on the air. Would this game be described as a bad loss, considering what we think they're all trying to accomplish in keeping that draft pick, or are there still a lot of things that just need to be worked on? In my case, I always say that there's a standard that's not being met. I understand what the ultimate goal is, but still there's a standard that needs to be met, how you play, and I feel like that hasn't been met as of late. How do you rate this game, considering how they played to what it is they're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I think it's like so subjective almost, where like it's kind of in the eye of the beholder. To me, like this was certainly not their best game of the year, and I wouldn't put it in like the top couple in terms of like their execution. Like the Boston game, for example, that was a loss, but I thought they played some of their best basketball. They were competitive with the best team in the league, with the champions. I thought they defended well. Vooch obviously was playing really well. It just felt like they weren't really like committed to everything that they need to commit to in order to play the best version of basketball for themselves. And I think that goes back to the Vooch thing. Like he just didn't feel involved enough, and he's such a good playmaker that even if he's not shooting the ball well, or even if he's not scoring, he's still creating good offense for you and putting pressure on the rim. Here we go again with the lights.
Hey.
The power
But,
of the dome.
Go home.
I think they just need to not forget about Vooch because he's so important to even just like getting the ball moving side to side. And I think it's good to take a lot of threes, but you want them to be the right threes. And I think for the most part, they're trying to do that. Like, especially, I was talking with Nick Nurse about this before the game. Like they're so good at pushing the tempo even after made shots. And I think sometimes you can just get lost in doing that a little bit, where there is maybe a little bit more of a balance. So I think they have to be extreme with the way they play because they just don't have the talent to compete with Joel Embiid and Paul George. But that doesn't mean that you kind of forget who you are, or sacrifice the things that make you effective in order to try to just shoot as many threes as you can to keep yourself in a game, if that makes sense.
Goat, couldn't help but notice that Billy went with Modest for a long stretch, like almost the entire fourth quarter. I think he checked in late third and then played all the way up until getting subbed out with like 90 seconds left. So like about 12 of his 24 total minutes came in crunch time in fourth quarter of a game where the Bulls could, theoretically come back and win that one. Curious if you talked to Billy about Modest's minutes and when he got them, and if you got a chance to talk to Modest himself after tonight's game. He didn't knock down any of his threes, but he still had a solid plus 13 off the bench.
Yeah, I think Modest was kind of saying, like, it's too bad I didn't shoot better, but I felt like I was kind of understanding some things defensively, and I think it's really good growth and experience for him to be able to get in clutch minutes or late game crunch time experience where he just hasn't really had that, not because he hasn't been playing or maybe partly, but because the Bulls just haven't had many games like this where they kind of come down to the wire and actually qualify as a clutch game, which is within 5 points in the final 5 minutes. So this qualified, and obviously it's a different team in the clutch in particular, I think, than they were last year compared to, the DeRozan-oriented offense. So I think it was really good experience for him. But Billy was just kind of saying, he was defending well. He was getting deflections. He had a block shot. He was rebounding it well. And he was just active out there. And so he wanted to ride him. And then, as you guys mentioned right before I came on, Dalen Terry left the game with an injury. Julian Phillips didn't get too many minutes. Taylor Horton-Tucker didn't play too many minutes. So you just had to find those wing minutes somewhere. And that's what we've been talking about. This team has a void at power forward, and Modest can be the guy that steps into that. So I think this was really good learning experience from him. He is a man of very few words, but I think he recognizes that, look, Billy's trusting me a little bit more to be in and to defend. And we talked about the floor with Coby. I think the same is true with Modest. He needs to defend and shoot at a high level, and the floor is going to be there, and it's going to be hard to take him off the court. And then you add in, some of the other stuff that he hopefully gets to do at some point in his career in terms of shot creation and off the dribble stuff, which we'll see down the line. But I think Billy was just, showing a little bit of trust in his ability to defend and rebound and block shots and get some deflections, which is really what they needed in this game.
Will, let me ask you this before I knock this table over. I want people in the comments are asking about Patrick Williams. They just want to update on Patrick Williams and his availability. How's the injury doing? And kind of, do you expect him to maybe be back doing something next week?
Yeah, so the Bulls played, I think it was Thursday, Friday, right? And then Sunday. Billy ruled Patrick out for that back-to-back on Wednesday. So ahead of the back-to-back for both of those games, and then said he was a long shot or doubtful for today's game. With the fact that they have, I think, 4 days off, their next game is Friday, and then another handful of days off after that, I just don't think it made sense to try to bring him back when you could give him that much more runway. So I think Patrick is getting closer. All indications point towards him, starting to do that ramp-up process. I know you guys love that, but just getting himself back on the court. It sounds like the inflammation, which was the big concern, has subsided, and now it's more about okay, so the inflammation's gone. We can put him through some workouts, some practice, some training, but then does it come back after that? And that's the part where we just don't know yet. There hasn't been any updates in terms of his ability to put together consistent days of training and work. But from the way Billy has talked about it in the past, it does seem like he's getting closer. I just think that since they have such a long gap here, I think it's 2 games in the next 10 days or something like that. It probably makes more sense to just really give him as much time as he can.
Goat, I'm curious about your discipline. Did you get up and push some iron around this morning before you came to the UC?
Not this morning, but I did go yesterday. And normally I wouldn't go yesterday because I only go 3 or 4 days a week. So I wanted to make sure I got that last day in before, because I knew it was going to be tough today.
Wait a minute. You only go 3 or 4 days a week?
To lift, yeah.
Are you juicing it?
No juice. No juice.
You meant cold pressed juice.
I'll take that as a compliment.
That's pretty.
Yes, sir. Yes,
that's
sir.
pretty impressive if you're only going 3 days a week.
Yeah, man.
How many days do you go to the gym per week, Will?
6, but I don't do weights every day. I mean, I do upper body twice a week, lower body twice a week. I do yoga twice a week. That makes 6.
What did you tell me? What was it called? The rich man's or the lazy man's weight loss?
Oh,
what was that?
No, it was Steve Kerr used to talk about when he was with Cleveland. McKeskey used to talk about the businessman's workout. Steam, sauna, shower.
That sounds good to me.
That's my off day workout. Yeah, exactly.
It's really concerning how every Go Talk hotline just turns into us objectifying Will Gottlieb. Like everyone.
Every single one? I don't know about that.
Yeah, after 3 years of this, you just get used to it, I guess.
And we appreciate all the hard work. Goat, Will_Gottlieb is where you can follow his Bulls reporting. AllCHGO.com is where you can read his great stuff covering our beloved Bulls. Go enjoy the rest of your Sunday, buddy. Take some time off, hit the sauna, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
I'll see you guys then.
We got to knock out one more quick ad break here. When we come back, more of y'all's thoughts on the Bulls' loss this afternoon. Yeah, whatever else you want to talk about. That's coming up next.
Question for you. Ladies and gentlemen, we were brought to you by the Chicago Sports Network, a new home for the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox games. CHSN will broadcast more than 300 live games per year across the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, and will feature a full lineup of original Chicago-focused sports content. They are Chicago-based, they are Chicago-built, and they are Chicago to the bone. And they're bringing it to every corner of Chicago across our beautiful 77 neighborhoods and beyond. At CHSN, Chicago comes first. Visit CHSN for more info on how to watch the Bulls, Hawks, and Sox games all season long. And after you watch those games, come back and tune in here for your post-game shows for all of those teams right here on CHGO. It's right behind me.
Sure is. Hey, Dave, can we have a quick conversation?
Oh.
I mean, we have a lot of conversations that are lengthy about a lot of different things.
Yeah, that's true.
I would like a quick conversation right now about something very specific.
Okay. Let's see if we can do this.
Can I guess what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think it's about, Will?
I don't know what it is, Will.
Is this ComEd?
Oh!
Only if we're lucky.
Well, it's really about energy savings. And yes, of course, that means it's about ComEd.
How did Will Perdue know this?
I don't. He's been hanging out with us a lot.
Genius.
ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming more energy efficient, Dave.
You know what, man? Peck, I did not know that.
Now you do.
Oh.
The energy efficiency program can help find up to 35% in energy savings.
Wow. So, what does the business got to do?
Let me tell you right now.
Okay.
You're going to laugh. It's so simple.
Okay.
Just sign up for a free facility assessment at ComEd.com/biz.
Ha! I did laugh. So why are more businesses doing it?
I have no idea, Dave. Maybe they forgot the website.
Well, that sounds insane. Sounds crazy. It's ComEd.com/biz.
Yep.
It's ComEd.com/biz.
Correct.
ComEd.com/BIZ.
That's the one that should do it.
Come on.
Terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to change. Actual savings will vary by a customer's energy usage and rate. ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law. ComEd.com/biz.
State law.
You said you had a question for Mr.
I
Perdue?
did. Will, when you were talking and so eloquently about the practice and just how important that is to have, I wanted you to dive a little more into that and kind of explain why that is just such a big deal, especially for this team. Because people who aren't, like that are thinking, well, of course, practice. They practice all the time.
But
Even
they don't.
walkthroughs and things like that. But can you explain exactly how important that is, especially for this team?
Well, your walkthroughs are more about mental preparation. Okay, so when you talk about a walkthrough, what usually happens is the second team will go down while the first team is working on something and go over the opponents. During the regular season, you literally just go over their 5 high-frequency plays. You don't go over the whole scouting report like you do in the playoffs.
Okay.
And then they come back down and they walk through it to discuss, okay, this is how we're going to play. We're going to hedge. We're going to go over the top. We're going to do this. Second dribble, help comes, blah, blah, blah. This, so that you mentally have an idea of, as you're leaving the Advocate Center in the morning or in the second game of back-to-backs, they go over early, close the UC, and go out on the floor at 4 o'clock. So you don't have to come in the morning and do the walkthrough then. And then, so now you have an idea of this is what we're trying to do when they call 1 down, floppy, 5 side, whatever, on their high-frequency plays, okay? And then it helps with the proper rotation off the ball as well. But to be crisp, to continually, correct little mistakes, you have to practice at game speed. And when you don't is when You start taking shortcuts during games. You take plays off. You start making not only physical but mental mistakes as well because you're not crisp. You don't have that focus. Okay. Now, fatigue has a lot to do with that.
Sure.
Johnny Bach talked about, fatigue makes cowards of us all. But you think about this, because and it also what it does when you practice every day, it ramps up that competitive nature. Sometimes because of fatigue, you can't just cut that on and be like, all right, here I go, because the guy across from you is just as good as you are. It's not like, okay, I'm better than that guy. All right, I'm going to take advantage of this guy. There's not a lot of guys that happens. I'll give you a perfect example.
Sure.
So last night I did Windy City, Iowa Wolves.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Okay. So one of the front office people from the T-Wolves was there. And we talked about the game here earlier in the year, about just how good Ant really is, and about his competitiveness, and about how he loves to play the game and he wants to win. And I talked about how I thought that missed dunk, I forgot who that was on, in front of their bench was what then got him going. And I think he then, dropped 20 in that quarter and kind of put the game away but we talked about there's very few guys in the league. Now, again, we talk about Steph Curry can do that. And, Embiid, as we saw tonight. And, it's just those things can happen. But Ant can't always do it, but he's got the ability to do it, okay? But those are the guys that what you don't see is when they put the work in, okay? I can honestly say Iverson was a rare breed of his ability to practice. But he did practice.
Sure.
Okay, that was a specific and overblown example taken out of context. But he did practice, but not because he played so much. He didn't need those repetitions.
Yeah.
Okay? There are a lot of guys in this league, and that's what Coby will tell you. Coby's biggest issue last year was he's such a rhythmic player, and he had this routine 2 years prior when he had that breakout year where any off day, he was in the gym getting up an extra 300-400 shots. Because of the Bulls practice facility, it's 24/7. You come in anytime. Mm-hmm. So these guys were always coming back in the evenings with their guy, their boys, somebody to rebound for them and just getting shots up. And that carries over. But Coby was talking about how he struggled to do that because then he'd keep coming in and getting shots up, but yet he's getting 42, 43 ticks a game. And he's like, at some point and then he would take some days off and he would have nights like tonight. Mm-hmm. And you're like, what's up with the roller coaster ride, man? He had to figure that out mentally and physically, how to be able to do that. And that took a while, okay? Being able to adapt in his new role of going from, 25 to 30 minutes a game to basically 38 to 42, okay? And then all of a sudden, those scouting reports change too. The defense changes on, you got to work even harder now to maintain that scoring average because the scouting report changes. But that's where this week where they can kind of sharpen some things up, most definitely defensively, but even offensively where, you can do certain games. Like when I was playing with a team, if we were struggling rebounding, practice would start and all of a sudden here comes Phil, he's walking with this plastic bowl. Mm-hmm. And you used to put that on top of the bucket. Okay. And that means the ball would never go in. So this was strictly a rebounding game where we had to shoot and they literally would not call a foul.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of fights in this game.
Nice.
But it was a message of, you guys need to rebound better. So today we're going to focus practice on the following. It could be as much as the Bulls in one of these days of practice, Billy coming out and said, okay, we're going to play 6 minutes, 5-on-5. If you shoot a 3, it's actually -3 for your team. We're only attacking the rim. Paint points only count. You got to get to the rim, got to get to the rim. But also you can do it without the 24-second shot clock because then as a defense you could just pack it in. But pull it out, run your offense, and just keep going. No 24-second shot clock, but you got to score in the paint. Mm-hmm. And what does that do? That just hammers it into their head. They go, it's still a good shot. Mm-hmm. And because it's still a good shot, there's got to be a good mix. You would love it to be 50-50. It could be 60-40 whatever it may be. But at the same time, sometimes you can still play well and lose because the other team played better. But you can't necessarily force things like, okay, we got to shoot more threes, so we're going to make sure we get 50+. But if the quality of those threes suck, it doesn't matter how many you get up. So sometimes you just got to continue to take what the defense gives you. And if they give you a bunch of layups, then you got to take them. Because eventually they will call timeout and change it up.
Sure.
And then you continue to, crash the paint, and then they start collapsing because it's human nature. And then you start kicking it out. And it's just that's where it's now practice. You get more repetition. Guys get more comfortable with each other. And you start realizing as a player, hey, just don't try to focus too much on the three, but continue to do what we do. And that's, even though we're still shooting more threes, we're not a three-point shooting team per se, okay? Because they still haven't really addressed that as of yet.
That's a good point. That's a lot to unpack.
That's a lot of.
But I did want to ask this part of it, what he stated, because the Bulls don't really have those guys that have interior scoring, like on their team. So all of their shots. So I think also, because Billy, when he draws up the offense, it's to do what is good for everybody else on the team. How can help them score? Remember when he was drawing up offenses and part of the offense was like Andre Drummond getting rebounds and putting back? Like that was part of the offense.
Go stand under the basket in case DeMar misses.
Right, exactly. And that was a part of your offense. So like right now, your biggest interior presence is Vooch. That's your one. That's your guy after that. Who is it after that can score in that paint like that? Because all I know is Ayo when he goes in and get those layups.
Yeah.
So there is an opening, Matt, for somebody on this team to increase that presence. Modest, I'm looking at you. There's somebody there
that's the name I was thinking of.
Go ahead.
No, that's the name I was thinking of. If you're talking about interior scoring on this team and who can get it done. Like Jalen Smith hit some big shots today. One of them was from half court at the end of the third quarter.
Yeah.
He is not known for his interior scoring. They brought him in to be a stretch big, not an interior scoring big. Yeah. And it depends on the matchup. We've known this for 3 years now as far as Vooch and what he's done with the Bulls. When he has a favorable matchup and he gets the ball, he can score at will.
Yes.
We've seen, he had 39 the other night, right? When he doesn't have a favorable matchup, they tend to not give him the ball as much and he doesn't score as much. Yeah. The Bulls just don't score in the paint. Yeah. I believe they lost points in the paint by 24 today. And you also mentioned earlier, didn't really get to the free throw line a lot, Will. That's not something that this team does well, is draw fouls. What they are, you said you're not sure if they're a three-point shooting team. It's the thing that they're doing the best right now.
That's all they got.
Offensively speaking, they run, which they also do well, and they shoot threes. Yeah. And a lot of times that works in sync. We were talking in our pregame, I can't remember if it was Thursday or Friday night, about the Bulls in a 7-game span having the highest offensive rating in the NBA. Yeah. They were averaging 129.9 points per game over a 7-game span. Yeah. A huge part of that is because out of the gate this season, they've been knocking down threes at a high rate. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you're going to make this drastic change in your offense to run with these younger crew and get up more threes, stick to it.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have enough interior scoring some nights, then you have to find other ways to, like, overcome that.
Yeah.
Today, they failed to do so.
Yeah, they didn't do it well, and they didn't do it well last game either because they failed scoring interior in the paint also against the Pacers. And I think that's a trend that teams are going to figure you out at some point in time, and they're going to attack your weaknesses at some point in time. That happens. I mean, it's the NBA. It's any sporting league. Whatever you do worse, they're like, oh, you don't do that well? Guess what? All day long. Oh, you running 4 guards out there? We in the paint all day long. Oh, you don't have any interior scorers right there? You saw Philly play defense on that 3-point line a little bit better, especially when Zach LaVine started hitting those incredible step-back threes. Man. You saw Maxey in his jersey. Like, after that, man, like, absolutely not. This cannot continue. So they'll let guys like Josh Giddey, do his thing because they're not too concerned about it. They'll even let Ayo kind of do his thing. You know what I mean? They're like, okay, yeah, we'll give up those points. But those points from guys who really do it like Vooch and those 3-point shots from guys like Zach, teams are going to start keying in on and realizing the Bulls are going to struggle getting those interior points.
But I think that you still can have interior points off the fast break.
Sure.
The interesting thing is, to me, quite honestly, the way this team is developed, the best full court fast break player is Ayo.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And I see he only got 6 shots today.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think the Bulls had, 18 fast break points? I can look it up, but I think if I remember correctly. But the bigger issue to me, 2 offensive rebounds.
18
Yes.
fast break points.
Justin
yeah.
in the comments mentioned the Bulls' poor rebounding effort today. Two offensive rebounds.
Not good.
So
Not going to cut it.
it's one of those situations that, again, they got a lot to address.
Sure.
There's a lot of the holes that need to be filled. But that's what I mean by taking a team and playing to a standard. And that's something then you can check off the list, because that's a mentality. It's a mental toughness that I did the following. And it's okay if maybe as a player you're only so good. But if you're out there playing at 100%, but yet you're only so good, that's okay. Because that still is a situation where you have a positive impact on the game.
Yes.
But that's where now we talk about the ability to put the right pieces together, not only on a roster, but in a rotation to fill those gaps of what teams need and what they're lacking, because no team is perfect.
No.
Right?
Except this one.
There is a weakness between you two, but
We don't think that way about you, Will. Come on. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself.
Go ahead, Katie.
weak link.
I want to ask you guys about Modest,
Yeah.
because I heard you guys mention him, and very quiet game at some point. I looked up and I was like, is Modest even playing? Because, we just didn't hear his name today. We saw him ditch the mask today, and I'm wondering if that's related. So 2 of 7 shooting, 0 of 5 from 3.
Yeah.
Very quiet game. We're, 5 points. Sure, he's a rookie, but are you guys worried about him beyond that? Is this a larger issue with his face, or is this just kind of an off night for him?
I'm devastated that masked Modest is something that only lasted for 1 game. I'm glad that his nose is not more messed up.
Yeah.
And maybe even broken. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because we don't want him missing games.
No, we don't.
But I really loved masked Modest. It was a delightful thing that I was excited about.
Very nice.
As far as his performance today, no. His shot wasn't falling tonight. That's fine. I love that he still has the confidence to take them. I love that if he's 0 of 4 from 3, he has the confidence to take that 5th one as a rookie. And, we touched on it with Goat for a little bit there and what Billy had to say about it. And Modest himself offering some reflections in the postgame locker room. He played almost the entire 4th quarter of a game that the Bulls were in and trying to complete a comeback for. I love that.
Yeah.
I'll live with the 2 of 7 and the only 5 points off the bench. Give me more nights where he plays 24 minutes and he's playing significant minutes in the 4th quarter. Because you're talking about Uncle Will having the right pieces on this roster moving forward. How do you build the right pieces for this team to be competitive at some point down the road? All I know right now is that Modest better be a part of it. Because every time he steps out on the court as a rookie, limited minutes be damned, he's shown us something else every time he plays, and I just want to see more of it.
So, are we almost done here?
We're coming up on it. Yeah, we got like 8 minutes left.
Okay. Well, I want
Got lunch to make? Or what's going on?
I want to watch a football game.
What's going on? Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, we Bears,
You're right. The Bears are
Bears
playing.
Niners
Bears
underway
are-
any
you're
second now.
You're right.
Okay,
right.
now listen. I want to take this and let's just end on a positive for the day. So, also talking to management from Minnesota.
Okay. Just flexing out here, Will.
No, there were a lot of teams that had Modest as a top 5 player in this past draft. So the fact that the Modest dropped to 11 was we were talking about this. The Bulls probably thought there's no way this guy's dropping to us.
Mm-hmm.
Probably they had him on the board, but he was down in the right-hand corner,
Right.
just in case.
Yeah.
Break glass if he's still there.
Yes.
Right? So that's what the potential of what this a majority of the teams in the league think about Modest was he had that potential. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, it was a weak draft. Doesn't matter. When you're drafting the lottery, there's expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Parentheses, Patrick Williams.
But I think the one thing we have to be patient with is he's a rookie. And he's not and I don't mean this as a negative point, but he's not well-groomed. So what I mean by that
beard's
is
got to go.
it's going to be up and down. He's going to have good games, bad games. It's going to be a roller coaster. And you wait. There's also going to be that time frame where he hits the wall as a rookie. They all do. Yeah. And then there might be some games where he looks really bad. Yeah. And
this is so positive right now.
Well, no. And that's where, when you talk about it takes a village, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's now where Billy's going to have to protect him.
There it is.
Where you don't just continually roll him out there and get out there and get your ass kicked, because we talked about mentally that we don't believe this. We think how strong this guy is mentally. Yeah. And we've been impressed by how he's responded to his failures, about how he talks to the media, the humbleness of which he plays with. But you got to realize it's every single night. Doesn't matter if your opponent only has 4 wins. They got NBA players on the roster. And regardless of whether you're picked 1st, 11th, whatever it may be, for some reason somebody's reading the scouting report on the opponent and be like, you know what? This modest guy's getting a lot of love. Mm-hmm. I'm going at the Rook tonight. For no unknown reason except for the fact that they want to pick on the Rook, right? And that's the way it is. That's what this league is about.
Yeah.
And when he has nights like tonight, we don't question the effort. We question the results because it wasn't there. But I like his nastiness on defense.
Nice word.
One of the things that I think that he continues to need to work on, and this is what, to me, this is not just him. This is a team issue. Because sometimes you focus so much on shooting the 3, guys that should be in the paint fighting for rebounds aren't. And that's something that mentally you have to remind yourself of. If you're floating around the 3-point line and your team shoots a 3, you don't just stand there and watch. You still got to crash the boards. And yet still be able to crash the boards and then sprint your ass back and get back on defense. Yeah. But that's just, a lot for a rookie to unpack. But at the same time, I think, right now the draft pick is looking solid. This kid's fine. But there's going to be nights where you're left scratching your head, but he's a rookie. I'll make one more comparison.
Sure.
Caleb Williams.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Yeah, keep going.
I can honestly say after the draft and, back in August as camp's going on and guys, media, and not necessarily you guys, but media on the whole is like, man, we're going to the playoffs. And I'm like, you do understand your quarterback is a rookie, right?
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
What's the success rate of rookies in the NFL?
We're defying laws.
Right? Now, to my opinion, has he backed up being the number 1 pick? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do the Bears have that position locked up? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Okay. But at the same
their
time,
head coach cost Caleb and his teammates at least 3 or 4 wins.
Absolutely.
And there you go.
Okay, we're not talking about that.
No, I know.
But you've seen the roller coaster ride of watching him on certain plays because of the speed of the game. Be like, dude, the guy right there, wide open, just throw it to him. He's standing in the middle of the field. Just throw it to him. But that's just the game is going so fast, and his mind is just like, and his progression went right by. What's the tight end's name?
Cole Kmet.
Kmet. He just probably went right by him, and next thing you know, happy feet, boom, gone. But it's a learning curve. Sure. Right? So, and that's just, whether it's over 17 games in the NFL, whether it's over 82 games in the NBA, there are certain aspects when you watch a player, you're like, he'll be fine. And I think that's the same thing with Modest.
Nice.
AK in the comments saying Modest brings intangibles even when offensively he struggles. That's light years ahead of when P. Will was a rookie.
P. Will's rookie year was pretty good.
Our guy Briscoe also pointing out that no to mask Modest, but only because he said he couldn't see very well while he was wearing it. That is true. He said he had no peripheral vision while wearing the mask. It was also not a mask that was made for him. Yeah. Whereas we were talking on Friday night, Will, about how you had one of those molded masks
golden mask
for you
from the mountains of Mount Olympus.
It was because it was a second night of a back-to-back, quick timing, quick turnaround. The Bulls probably equipment manager was like, here, put this on. This was a prop and eyes wide shut, but it might help you protect your face today.
Hell, it might have been one of the ones I wore. It could have been one of the ones I wore. They was back in the equipment room.
Eyes wide shut.
Yeah. Before we get out of here real quick, we had a super chat or two, AK, from AK, right? That we need to shout out, Katie. Saying, why is Vooch getting only 7 to 10 shots the last 2 games? Yep, we definitely dove into that. For sure. Let's hope that Vooch, he's due for a bounce back game when they play, but he'll have to wait until Friday to try. AK also threw us a $20 super chat. Thanks, AK. Saying the Bulls may be leading in offensive categories, but is it raising Zach's trade value? Don't know what this Bulls overall plan is for winning roster construction. This is a flawed roster. That kind of goes to what you were just talking about a few minutes ago, Perdue. Do I think that Zach LaVine is raising his trade value? Yes. From where it was coming into this season, where it was in training camp,
He took it up.
unquestionably, he scored 30 points tonight.
He did.
People were wondering, like, is this guy even healthy?
Correct.
He's healthy, and he's still Zach LaVine on nights when he feels like it, while also showing on other nights, triple-double, he can play team basketball.
Yes, he can.
I mean, but we talked about this a little bit on our off-day show last week. We're going to talk about it more on Monday when we have a guest who is all up in these trade rumors going around recently. Teaser for that. Yes, his trade value has raised since the season began. When you're talking about Zach, has it raised to a point where I am more confident that they will find a mid-season trade for him? That's a different question, and I think a different answer.
Yeah, enough to add to that. That's real.
Right on. Quick reminder before we get out of here that you should grab yourself a ticket to the CHGO Top Shelf Takeover, Bulls, Knicks, Derrick Rose night. There are a very limited number of tickets. We've already sold a handful of them.
You better hurry up.
Why not treat yourself and maybe a loved one, a good friend, to a VIP experience of the game of the year, folks. Hell, this might be the game of the decade that you do not want to miss.
Honestly.
D-Rose retirement night, being honored at the Madhouse. The kid from Chicago. We are all going to be there hanging out in a sweet, living that sweet life. That means...
Wait, did Katie sing?
Sort of.
Is that what that was?
The only thing I don't
Did you
sing.
pick it?
can you play that back real quick?
The only.
Well, Purdue.
All right, Purdue Jr. All right. The only thing I don't sing is the Empire jingle. That's it.
Okay.
Oh, Lord.
So, Big Dave, to hammer home what we're talking about, how good of a deal this is.
Yeah.
Pricey, yes, but worthwhile and down in dollars.
Very, very worthwhile.
Up in memories.
Up in core memories.
Talk
is
about
what
how
this is.
we had this discussion about every day that goes by, the price of the tickets are now creeping up.
The price of game time tickets will raise up every single day. The closer you get to the event, the more the prices will go up.
It happened this week.
Matt Peck read the price for you. I read it the day before. The price went up at least another $30. This is what you need. This price will not raise. This is what it is. Right here, flat. If you ever wanted to sit in a suite and didn't know anybody with a suite, we are your connect. Come through, hang out with us, and you get to meet this dude right here. Please bring the rings, Will.
Let me help everybody get the maximum value for their dollar. Okay.
Lord.
Tip is $7.10.
Okay.
Gates open at 5:30.
Okay.
Get in line at 5 o'clock, so that when the doors open, you get in, and you hit that suite at 5:32.
Oh, yeah.
You start eating and drinking at 5:32. And then you can also you can watch the guys come out and shoot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you technically, not a lot of people know this, but you technically don't have to leave until 30 minutes after the game is over.
Woo.
Giving you stuff.
Throw back a couple more, stumble out on the sidewalk, take a nap.
Take a nap.
Wait for the Uber prices to go down.
Please don't take a nap. We can't sit. No. CHGO does not want you to take a nap on the sidewalk.
You're not talking. I'm talking about the
Middle of
people that come. Take a little nap, wait for the Uber prices to go down, and then go home and wake up the next morning and went, damn, I'm glad I did that.
And Matt is right. Honestly, this is the game of the decade. Like, I just sat here when he said it and thought about it. Like, what else is happening? Like, he's on point. Yes, this is the game. This is the game of the decade, and will be the biggest event in Chicago because it's on January 4th, and not many things will be happening up to that point.
There's really one thing that I would break my current boycott for. Y'all know I ain't going. I ain't spending my money on this team right now. I have no faith in this team right now. This I can't not.
Because it's Derrick Rose.
It's Derrick Rose.
It's Derrick Rose.
Do I see a tear?
Just a slight one.
Because he knows he'll be there.
Yeah, that's a slight one, and it's hurting his soul.
And yes, because it's Derrick's night, I of course also know.
And Joe Kim Noah
who else will be there.
Yeah,
my other best friend.
That's the one.
All right, y'all. Enjoy this Bears game we got battling the Niners. Our CHGO Bears crew is here for y'all for a post-game show to break down that one, regardless of what happens. Maybe the Bears and their losing streak. Bulls got themselves a big tank win today, so that's great. Let's be honest, that was great. In the meantime, before we're back on Monday, you can follow Will Perdue 32. Big Dave's at Bow, BWS Sports. Bow. Again, follow our guy Will Gottlieb, read his stuff, allchgo.com. Shout out and thanks to our queen of the controls, the one and only Katie Duffy. Almost sang a little bit just now. I'm at Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. Earlier start time for our off-day show pods, Monday and Tuesday this coming week, because we got people down in, I believe, Dallas for the MLB winter meetings. So White Sox crew is shifting to our time slot. So we will be 4 p.m. Central Time live tomorrow with a fresh episode and a fresh guest talking all things NBA trade rumors. Enjoy your Sunday.
That's
Bear
an
down.
idea.
What?
That's an idea.
What's
Bring in
that?
your sunny side.
You guys need to call and
Verilife. Verilife, sir.
For legal reasons, please check the guidelines before
I was
you
gonna
do
say.
that. We are not endorsing whether or not you do that either way. That is of your own free will.
But I will endorse the fact you get 50% off your order at Sunnyside using the code HICHGO.
There's always that.
First 3 orders.
There's always that. All right, let's go watch some football, y'all. That's right. Briscoe, our guy, he already got his ticket. Get yours to the CHGO Top Shelf Takeover on D-Rose night. We'll talk to you tomorrow. See you, Rep. Good.
The Bulls.
The Bulls.
Boss.
We all silly like the mayor.